All right, it's just a matter of hours and Christmas is here. Christians across the world will be celebrating. And just like the song says, it is indeed the most wonderful time of the year.
True. And, growing up, Christmas always came with a special feeling. A season that evokes joy, peace, love, and togetherness. And even now, that feeling still holds strong.
And it is indeed a time of gratitude and reflection for everyone, but especially Christians all over the world. But despite the economic realities back here at home, preparations are in full swing. Now, many Nigerians are already on the move, traveling far and wide to celebrate with family, friends, and loved ones.
And as is tradition, parents are doing everything they can to make this season memorable for their children. New clothes, special meals, and of course, gifts. But while families focus on celebration, security agencies are focused on one critical thing: safety.
Absolutely. Safety and security. And for those agencies, this period means very heightened security alertness. The goal is to ensure that all Nigerians celebrate without fear, without disruption, and without incident.
And that explains why agencies, including the Nigeria Police Force, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Federal Road Safety Corps have stepped up operations, deploying thousands of personnel across the country.
Well, the Federal Road Safety Corps, for instance, has been particularly busy issuing travel advisories, monitoring traffic flows, and supervising major highways, including the Abuja, Lokoja, Abuja, Kaduna, and other, of course, critical roads.
And for the Security and Civil Defense Corps, it has already deployed more than 55,000 operatives nationwide to protect lives, property, and critical national assets throughout the Christmas and the New Year celebrations.
Well, according to the Corps, as we hear, more than 28,000 regular and special marshals are already in the field, in what is a clear signal that security remains top priority this festive season.
But as much as security agencies are doing their part, safety is a shared responsibility. So individuals, communities, and even government at all levels must work together to ensure a peaceful and hitch-free celebration.
All right, so that will be our focus this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be looking at the preparations from the different angles, different sectors. What are the plans? What are the practical steps that should be taken to keep Nigerians safe this festive period? And I really do, Victor. I do empathize with you. You're unable to join your family this time. I'm sure they understand. But of course, you will be home by the New Year.
Well, never say never.
Sorry about that. Let me give you a pack. Say, come. Sorry about that. I'm sure Madame is watching.
All right. Let me, on that note, thank you also for joining us on the program. I'm Victor, as a welcome and compliments of the season.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. As I say, I'm Claire with the jingle today, welcoming you live on the network service of the NTA. All right, welcome back. If you've just joined us, we welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. Our topic today is, of course, centered on preparations for Christmas celebrations. Not just, of course, the buying of new clothes, ensuring that you have all the goodies and foods around, but also the wider or the broader, aspects of preparing, for safety and for security. But before we introduce our guests in the studio, let's quickly take a look at this background report, and it was compiled and put together by correspondent Yemi Ajayi.
Preparations for the Christmas celebrations for many is presumably in a top gear. High vehicular movements are already being experienced in parts of the country, as many travel far and wide to celebrate the Yuletide. The roads are experiencing more activities and the markets are getting busier by the day with last-minute shopping. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has deployed 55,000 operatives nationwide to ensure safety of lives and property, as well as critical national assets. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered the strategic deployment of police personnel and operational assets across the country to ensure a safe, peaceful and crime-free Christmas and New Year celebration. The deployment also focuses on places of worship, recreational centers, markets, parks, event venues, transport terminals, highways, critical national infrastructure, and high-density public spaces. On its part, the Corps Marshal Federal Safety Corps, Sheikh Mohammed, directed commanding officers to deploy all personnel to be on the road to ensure hitch-free movements before, during, and after the Yuletide, in line with its special patrol operation, which ends on the 15th of January 2025. Already, 25th and 26th of December 2025 have been declared public holidays by the federal government to ensure Nigerians enjoy a full-time celebration of the season. Some have actually charged the people to celebrate the season with caution and safety consciousness in order to enjoy the moment with their loved ones. Guests in the studio will be hinting us on various preparedness ahead of the celebration and what more should be done during the season. It's NTA's Good Morning Nigeria.
All right, many thanks, Oyeyemi Ajayi, for that background report. And joining us here in the studio for the conversation, let me introduce first Felix Thurman, who is the FCT Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps. We thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Let me also welcome CSP Benjamin Hundeyin, who is the Force PRO. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria and welcome to Abuja.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on the show today.
Indeed, it's the first time, so we warmly welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria, and we hope we'll continue to, enjoy, your presence. All right, let me also introduce our guest right here with us in the studio, Sanusi Tatimu. He's a Senior Special Advisor, Organization and Union Development of the NURTW headquarters here in Abuja. We thank you for joining us, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
We have another guest, a familiar face from Kaduna, and he's joining us via Zoom, Dr. Bas Idris, President, Risk Manager Society of Nigeria, but of course you know him as former DG, FCT Emergency Management Agency. Dr. Idris, thank you for joining us, and compliments of the season to you.
Compliments of the season, Claire. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. Victor, you want to start? Okay. Let me start. Let me start. I mean, security is everything. During festive periods, we have a lot of heightened, activity. We have increased travels. We have night movement. We have all sorts of activities and all that. I mean, CSP, how early does the police start to prepare for, festive periods like this?
Thank you very much. We start our preparation long before people even remember that the festive period is approaching. And this is because from past experiences, we have discovered that planning early actually makes the security operation easier. So long before now, before we even started the Ember months, the IGP Egbetokun had already mapped out strategies. I'd already met with commissioners of police, AIGs, to let them know that we need to hit the ground running as the Ember months approach. So the key to all of this is early planning, which we did this year. Like I said, we've been doing this every year. This is not the first time we'll be providing security for Ember months. So it's like a student that wants to write an exam and has lots and lots of past questions to study. So we started our deployments early, and we're happy to assess what we have on ground so far and to see that there is no adverse problem anywhere. But it's still subject to review as the days go by. But yes, we started planning very early.
What would you say is the motivation to start early? I mean, you start early for, let's say festive periods, like December, Christmas period, for instance? What is the motivation?
Because everything is raised to the power of 2 or even more. Like you have rightly observed, there is increased movement on the roads. Then in fact, everything is increased. Not just movements, gatherings, shopping, markets are fuller. So that is actually the motivation. Because enemies would want to strike where they can get the highest number of casualty with just one strike. So we know that there will be so much movement, and that's the motivation. And of course, we've been observing trends. We've been looking at the crime statistics. We've been checking everything, and we know that if we are not proactive, then there could be a problem. So the motivation has been that heightened activities, and we need to provide maximum cooperation in synergy with sister security agencies, just for one mandate, to ensure that Nigerians have a hitch-free celebration, and even beyond the celebrations too.
All right, thank you. Let's give you a brief and I will get back to you. But let me get to road safety. We do know that within periods like this, the road becomes extremely busy. I mean, we've seen the shock of the Abuja Lokoja, especially for days, way ahead of what many people anticipated. People started sleeping on that road already. And I'm wondering, what, are the risks this season?
Well, for this season, just like every other person knows, and just like my colleague has actually said too, we in the FRSC, what we normally do is towards the end of the year, and in fact, every quarter, we carry out traffic count. And apart from the traffic count that we carry out, which gives us an idea of the trend of movement of vehicles, we also have what we call passenger travels. These passenger travels, we have our men that are always in the various parks. So, and they take statistics of the number of vehicles that carry passengers every single day. And as you move out of the rainy season towards the harvest period, which is around September, you discover that the number of trips that you normally experience in motor parks will normally go up. But towards the peak of this period, especially now that we're already we're already just at Christmas season, apart from just normal people preparing for travels, we also have a lot of trucks carrying food items, carrying cattle, carrying all manner of things. We have a lot of instances where some of these trucks break down on the way. And as a result of this breakdown, you discover that one truck that will break down will constitute a problem to a very large number of travelers. And because of that, people's travel will tend to be extended into the night. And some of the risk factors also include inability of people to really put their vehicles at least within minimum safety standards. If your vehicle is not really good enough, it's not compulsory, you must travel with it. A lot of times people don't check those vehicles for long travels. A vehicle you've been using within Abuja here for the past 1 year, you have never used it to travel far, just because you feel it's okay to travel within Abuja. You want to try it to go to Lagos, to travel to Calabar, or to travel to Sokoto and all that. So because of that, a lot of times you see some of those vehicles breaking down, some overheating. All is because they have not been able to use those vehicles for long distance, and they wouldn't know some of the issues that are out there, because by the time you expose it to long trips, that is when you discover that the things that perhaps you never knew will begin to manifest. And
but what caused the Abuja Lokoja war?
The Abuja Lokoja was actually, first, we had breakdown of about 3 trailers. Those 3 trailers broke down at a very critical area, just as you get to the bridge. And you know that by the bridge, there's actually no option. Everybody must pass through that bridge.
And it's not exactly wide.
And it's not exactly wide. That is one. Then secondly, we have impatience on the part of drivers and motorists. Everybody wants to circumvent that single lane that people are supposed to move, so that no matter how slow it is, it's better that people continue moving instead of you to completely get stuck and nobody's going anywhere. So because of that, you have a lot of instances where everybody just gets stuck because of indiscipline, because of impatience, because of the lack of cooperation on the part of the motorists with officers that are out there to ensure that everybody gets to its destination within record time. But because of some of these issues, you discover that we have to send in some reinforcement from the FCT here. And then they spend the whole night to enable them clear that. And we've been able to also remove those trailers that broke down. And when those were done, and you also saw the commercial was personally there yesterday to supervise what is going on. And I think by yesterday, the hoodlum has been cleared substantially.
All right. I mean, the story of travelers every festive period. I don't know if it has changed, both on the road and the highways, even at the motor parks, the markets. Alhaji Tantimu, I'm coming to you, sir. I mean, the story has always been the same. If you go to the motor parks now, it's a very rowdy, chaotic, usually. And I'm just wondering, does the NURT even prepare for periods like this?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's only natural that during festive period, more especially Christmas and other celebrations, you find that people are really traveling out so much. In that case, we used to collaborate with the FRSC, that is the Federal Receptive Commission, right from the Ember month, starting from September, November, December, getting preparations. In fact, they are really assisting us in addressing our members as to how to conduct themselves, most especially out of the motor park, but within the motor park itself. There are certain periods that we used to address our drivers in particular, that this is the manner they should operate, more especially during loading. Unfortunately, the passengers sometimes are not helping matters. You find that a very simple instruction that needs to be followed by a passenger, he would like to do it on everyone is going solo. So we are finding a lot of difficulties arranging them that this is the vehicle that is going now. You don't have to be choosy when you come to the motor park because there are certain arrangements that we go in line, one vehicle after the other. So
sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Since you brought up this matter, you know what could likely be the reason why that happens. That's because most times you get to the park, you see a number of persons inside the bus. You get the assumption that okay, this bus is almost filled up, and you pay. You discover that you still stay there for many hours, only to find out that the people inside the bus are agberus. I mean, touts and all that. So you find, commuters getting edgy and irritated. So how are you addressing that particular, scenario?
Well, I think under normal circumstances, it doesn't happen this way. Most especially during the festive period, because people are really there as passengers. I agree with you that it does happen. But you cannot have everything 100%. Sometimes we really make it a priority that such an act should not be observed in the motor park. But you cannot stop everything 100%. But now that we're talking about this festive period, you will never see people, because the passengers are there. So you don't need to even think of staying in the motor park showing that maybe you're a passenger or what. No, we don't do it during this time. I agree with you, it happens, but it's not much. We're trying as much as possible.
So your preparation starts from the Ember month?
Right from the Ember month.
So from October, November, September, that's when you start to prepare for the festive period.
Yes. But what steps has the NURTW taken to curb reckless driving, within this period?
You see, there are certain issues that we need to address very well. NURTW as a union has a control of certain drivers that agree to belong to NURTW. There are quite a number of drivers around. Reckless driving. They are not from the NURTW. That is why you need to have a designated loading and offloading position, not the proliferation of motor park loading places. Because any driver will be, when you see him on the road, you say it's NURTW. But in most cases, you see that our own drivers, we are trying as much as possible. In fact, we have some classrooms in some of the motor parks where we address the drivers as to how to conduct themselves. But you cannot control drivers loading outside. We find some difficulties in doing that. This is where we have problems. It's an issue that we are trying to tackle, but we cannot do it alone.
All right, we will get into the nitty-gritty as we continue, but let's bring in Dr. Idris into the conversation. As a risk management expert now, I'm just wondering, at what time would you consider could be best period to start preparing, both from the police security angle, from the safety angle, and even from the comfort angle? The NURT is saying, okay, we start from the Ember months, we collaborate with the FRSA. CXP here is saying, oh, we've been doing it. Does the scenario give the impression of early preparation?
Well, thank you very much. I think from the risk management factors, if you look at it, it's 365 days. We need to get prepared, do the risk assessment of any travel we intend to do, and ensure that the road is safe, our vehicles are okay for the road and for the journey, and then also we assess where we are going. If you take the risk management aspect and ensure all those factors are enshrined, then we'll be able to really go safely. We don't have to wait for Ember month. We are losing lives in this country every day as a result of road crash. And we have laws that are governing these road travels, yet we are not enforcing the rules. You see people in the boot, and you see people that are supposed to, a vehicle that's supposed to take 3, 4, 5 people, taking about 7 people. And I keep wondering, and anytime I find this kind of forum, I express my feelings that a road safety officer or any other officer will stop me and say I didn't wear seatbelt. And then somebody will come and pass with 3 or 4 people in front. I don't know whether there are 3 seatbelts or 4 seatbelts in front of a vehicle. So we need to take our lives very seriously every now and then. We don't have to wait for Ember month before we start enforcing those laws. We have to safeguard lives and property of this country and ensure that we carry out, like I said, risk assessment anywhere you are going. First, is the travel more important for you? You have to really look at that first. Must you travel on those days? And then, did you find out about the road from here? If you are living Abuja, going to the east, what is happening between Abuja and Lokoja? And then if you want to go through Benue, what is happening between Lafia and Makodi? All this you have to get information and then ensure that it is necessary for you to travel. If it is not necessary for you to travel, you have to postpone it. And for God's sake, why do we have to stagger our own plans or everything between September and December? Why can't we spread it within the year and get our festivities done so that we can decongest the road? But everybody will put his vehicle on the road at the same time. And then those drivers that we're talking about in the motor parks, most of these drivers start driving in this Ember period, because most vehicles are even put on the road at this time because they know they will get passengers. And then we don't care about the safety and then also the roadworthiness of these vehicles. We don't check the roadworthiness. We allow them to use even, they are buying second-hand tires, and then they overload the vehicles. You see a small vehicle loaded even on top of the roof. They put a lot of heavy boxes and other goods. on it. And in those days, we know that vehicles that are meant for goods, it is even written goods only, no passenger. You can never take passenger, but even those that are having goods only are now taking passengers, and they pass through the road. And that is why when they had crash, you see a lot of casualties happening in that place. So we need to really assess our risk and then value our lives very importantly. And then those regulators, those that are in helms of affairs, must ensure that if they enforce the laws, those drivers that we are referring to, they are not normally certified by anybody. As long as you can kickstart a vehicle and move it, that's why you now become a driver. The Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, they don't assess their drivers, they don't certify them. Anybody that can drive, as long as he can drive, he's allowed to drive. Whether he can drive for long journey or small journey, they don't care. So we just have to change. Otherwise, we'll have to be having casualties, more casualties at this period. And then we have to spread, like I said, spread our own plans. When we plan our activities, we should plan it in the year, not just during the Ember month, so that we change the pattern. Even those bandits that are striking, they know when you will be on the road, so they will come out, they will also plan. That is the time they will have money, because you are carrying money. You are going home to celebrate. So they will come and make a lot of distraction on the road. So planning is one. And risk assessment, we assess the risk. It's also another one. Regulators, they must ensure that only certified drivers are allowed and only roadworthy vehicles are allowed to fly the roads. But honestly, the way we keep our own distance, there is no radar monitoring the recklessness of our drivers. We don't. They can overtake at any point, at any corner or hill, and nothing will happen. And if it happens, we only say we blame God for that, and it is not good. So we need to really change our position, change our pattern, change our plans, so that we can have safety on our roads.
Dr. Abbas, I'm staying with you. This is also a period where we have increase in fire incidents, perhaps because of the weather and because the children are at home and a lot of things. How can we bring that, to the barest minimum?
Yes, you see, it's very difficult to bring it to the barest minimum because of the number of people at the same time doing one thing and the other. And that is why I say we need to spread it, spread our own time. The hazards are there, and then you have a multiple hazard by the time more people are engaged in doing one thing or another. Everybody is cooking for December 25th. Christmas, and everybody is traveling at the same time, and everybody is carrying some materials that are really combustible, and so a lot of things are happening. So by the time you have multiplicity of those things, definitely the risk is high. So all we need to do is to ensure that we carry out the safety, ensure the safety of our homes, ensure the safety of our roads, ensure the safety of our vehicles, and ensure the safety of our family. And how do we do that? We have to install all the fire defense equipment in our homes. We have fire blankets, which is very easy, and every woman can operate it with the fire blanket. With the fire extinguishers are not expensive, and we need to buy the good ones and also ensure that they are serviced, they have been serviced. And then teach everybody how to use it, because sometimes you will see they have the fire extinguishers at home, but they cannot be able to operate it. So we need to do that and ensure that everybody, even if a guest comes to your house, you have to ask him, do you know how to operate the fire extinguisher? If he says no, you have to show him because maybe the fire will start from his own room. You may not know. So if he knows how to extinguish the fire, he can use the fire extinguisher. You teach him. The fire blankets are there for the women. Once they see a fire on their stove, on their distance, and they have to use the blanket and cover it, and that is all. And then we keep our cylinders outside the kitchen, ensure that they are not leaking and they are also standard. So if we do that and we keep on really monitoring and putting life first, we'll be able to really control the fire incident that we are having. Most times we allow things to, and we also use fabricated substandard wires and other things to really do our wiring. So all those things have to be done, and you can see you have to do it before the ember months that you will have to be at home. You built a new house, but you didn't put the good things. Install good things, and you go there, you just start operating it. You see, you will have a lot of problems. So you test it and call the firemen to ensure that they certify what you have in your own house.
Dr. Abbas Idris, thank you very much for bringing this aspect into our conversation. But let me get back to Benjamin Hundeyin. I had promised to come back to you. I'm wondering how much of police presence are we likely to have in residential areas, worship places, entertainment spots, for instance, to ensure that your wish, which is to have a peaceful Christmas for Nigerians, comes to fruition?
Thank you. What we can assure Nigerians is visibility policing. They would clearly see police officers, patrol teams in all of these places with particular interest on places where people would gather. So talking about worship centers, talking about recreational centers, talking about markets, and even the roads. The IGP already made this deployment. We made the announcement a few days back to let Nigerians know that there's massive deployment. So
are there flashpoints?
Oh, definitely. So these are things we have studied before the ember months, from past experiences, to know where there are likely to be problems, flashpoints, and these are places we have also focused our deployment. So we might not be readily disposed to identifying the flashpoints. We don't want to cause unnecessary panic, but we can assure Nigerians that these flashpoints have been taken care of. Adequate deployments have been made, not just officers in uniform, we also have plainclothes officers out there to also gather intelligence and make that available for us to review our deployment. So visibility policing is key. We want people to have the confidence to move about, knowing that there are police officers all around. So for us, it's just visibility policing.
Okay, I'll still come back to you, but let me bring in Mr. Teman into our conversation, because Dr. Idris raised a whole lot of issues that bother both the FFRSC and, of course, the NURT. And that's why I would like you to share with us, the content of your preparation for this year. Do you have data, to show there's been maybe improved, safety, improved commuter discipline, improved driver discipline, especially on the highways, as a result of your preparations?
Yes, let me just say this very quickly. Like I said earlier, Ember Month has been on, and we know what we have always tried to put in there.
It's become a rhythm.
Yes.
Every time every year, everybody expects, yes, FRSC will come up with Ember Month.
Yes.
But it is the content now.
Yes.
Because is it the same every year?
No.
What is different for this year?
No. This year, I think right from the onset, from the theme that was brought out, it said, take responsibility for your safety, avoid distracted driving. Because we have discovered that distraction is also a very huge cause of crashes on our highways. especially use of phone, especially talking, especially so many things that can distract driver from concentrating in driving. And we also discovered that distraction is not just an activity that the driver will do. We also have a role for the passengers. So that is why our campaign this year, when we roll out that theme, was to capture the attention of the commuters as well. So that if you are sitting down as a passenger inside a vehicle, you are not expected to just sit down idly there. If your driver is being distracted by whatever that he is doing, and you know that it could lead to the compromising your safety on that while undertaking that journey, you have a responsibility to speak out. If your driver is unnecessarily being distracted by phone calls, as passenger, you are not supposed to be sitting down there and without doing anything. Or sometimes you discover that your driver is tired. Somebody was telling me a story of yesterday, that a driver was just busy about sleeping. And he said it, that he is fatigued completely, he's tired, he wanted to sleep. Some passengers were insisting that he should continue with the journey, while others said, no, you can't continue with this driving while we are quite sure that you are not in your right frame to move on. So he had to park by the side, and they gave him like 30 minutes for him to take a nap. And we even have a policy that says, if you drive for 4 hours, you are expected to take a rest. It is compulsory that you take that rest.
How do you enforce it?
Well, for those companies that we have registered them as under the RTSSS program, we have what we call the vehicle safety standard, the driver safety standard, the vehicle safety standard. And we expect that the safety managers in the various transport companies enforce this as part of their regulatory framework. And even in the parks, when we go in there, we also insist that NURTW should find places where when they are traveling, like from here to Lagos, you don't expect that you travel all the way through to Lagos. You should be able to have designated areas where your passengers can ease out and drivers can also have time to rest. So those are some of the things that we are doing. And the content of this year, apart from the first, what we did was to have a press conference. And that press conference emphasized on the theme of this year, on the role of the passenger, role of the driver, role of the transport unions, role of retail, role of all stakeholders within this period. And apart from that, we also went to the parks by ourselves. And we didn't just go once. Yesterday I was at Zuba Park, I was at Jabi Park, I was at Yaya Park. And apart from this, we also had what we call a medical outreach. This medical outreach we carried out at Yaya Park. We also emphasized about the issue of health. If a driver is not healthy enough to enable him drive long distances, we expect that he shouldn't drive. And through that medical outreach, we've been able to discover drivers that have eye problems. And through our partners, I think about 21 of them have been referred for eye surgery for free. So these are the things we are doing. It's not just about rolling out a program for the embalm. We follow through to ensure that those nitty-gritties, the issues that are there, are followed through. And we're also backing it with a lot of enforcement and advocacy.
Let's look at over the course of maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you think that the safety and security issues arising from travels during festive period, has it improved? Do you have data to support that?
Well, I would say it has improved based on the fact that the experience of last year definitely will not be the same this year. And what we also do is we always do a post-mortem review. Like the one for last year, we reviewed what were the issues. How can we do this year's on differently? And based on our experience of last year, we discovered there's a lot of distraction based on the statistics that were gathered from the crashes that occurred last year. Okay. We discovered a lot of distractions. A lot of passengers are passive when they are in there in their vehicles. They think that when you just enter a commercial vehicle, you sit down as if you are a slave. You are not a slave. You have a responsibility when you know that your safety is being compromised to speak out. So,
how do you make your deployments? Because we've noticed that during this festive period, we'll see, men of the FRSC almost all over the place. Yeah. Even at places where you didn't expect. I mean, less, busy. It could be even trunk C roads. You see them there. If you go towards the Yanya axis now, you pass through Karu, you will see, at a certain time. And they're usually stationed where you have bombs. Is it strategic?
Well, let me just speak particularly about the FCT here. I know within this period, we emphasize on the highway, especially for interstate travels. And I will tell you that even this morning, yesterday, the Commercial Sheikh Mohammed launched the electric motorcycles to increase the enforcement. And our emphasis are actually on the interstate travels. We have deployed them on the airport road yesterday and today, and if you go on that axis, you'll see that. For AYA Yanya Maraba, I think it's a different ball game altogether because of the volume of passengers that you find there, and a lot of times you might not even be able to differentiate between people that are actually traveling far and, and those that are just within. But we need to give attention to everybody without discrimination. So for those that you find maybe within Karu, we have a command in Karu actually.
Yes, of course I know.
We have a command in Karu, and we don't expect Karu to just abandon the area within which they live, because then we also know that those that are living in Karu, they need to have access to get to the main road. And you know that even when you want to come to within the city center, there's no other way. You must come and access the main one. And a lot of times, we always have issues, even within that car, to enable you to come out. And in recent times, you are also quite aware of the construction going on within there, if not for now that the construction company has gone on leave. If not, because of that construction going on, people always have issues even accessing the main road. But for this season, I think our emphasis is actually on the highway, especially interstate travels. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Thank you, Felix Steman.
Yeah.
Let me get back to Alhaji Tatimu. He talked about a driver that was tired, fatigued, and who just had to make a journey, regardless of the cost of making that trip. How do you ensure that vehicle owners don't push drivers to make unsafe travels just because they want to make money?
Thank you very much. The issue of long travel has been there for a very long time, because drivers, prior to this time, they used to go for a very long journey with their vehicle. We don't have any spot where they'll park and rest. But if you observe it very well now, there are so many points where we have restaurants, not our own, restaurants, where our drivers used to park. They would take a journey, maybe from Abuja to Lagos. There are about 3-4 places where they park, allow the passengers embark, maybe take their lunch or maybe breakfast, whatever, and then he will rest. This is the strategy we've taken now to curtail this long driving period.
Do they really rest? Because
yeah,
what
they
I
do.
know,
Yeah.
what I know drivers do is to hustle for their food. When they get to those places, maybe they get free meals. What they do is get their meals, and once 15-20 minutes, everybody's back, and then they move again.
No, we have to appreciate even the restaurant owners. Mm-hmm. Because what they do, the first thing they do is to attend to the driver. Mm-hmm. When immediately a driver parks, he's the first person they should be attended to. He'll be given his own food. He'll go back and eat early and then rest before the drivers. You know, the passengers are of different type, different age. Some people will go to toilet. It may take them 30 minutes, 1 hour. So it depends on the individual. Yes, because there are queues sometimes, more especially during the festive period. You have to wait because there are people going to the restroom, queuing. You find that about 20 vehicles parked. 20 vehicles will take about maybe 100 people, and it's only one bathroom they use. So they will have to rest. That is the reason why a driver will be given priority by the restaurant. This is an arrangement. So when they attend to him first, then before the passengers will finish, then he will eat and then rest. I'm not saying that he will rest as designated by the law, maybe for 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, no. But at least he will rest. That is the point.
But why is it that, despite all the talk, Year in, year out, we come here, we talk about preparations, we talk about what the NURTW is doing. Your members give the FRSC, the FRSC, the police, a whole lot of issues to deal with. Overloading. Have you seen? Have you seen? I don't think I've seen, except the luxury buses. But this, what do you call it, commuter buses, the overload. In fact, sometimes you see the loads trying to fall out, competing with the people inside. Some on top of the cars. Why do these drivers do this?
Okay, thank you very much. I will agree with you that it happens. But look at the percentage. If you look at the number of vehicles flying the roads, those people that are overloading unnecessarily, that is why I'm saying that we have so many motor parks, so many illegal operators, so many, loading points. In our own motor parks, we try as much as possible to checkmate this kind of activities. I'm not saying that it's 100%, but we're trying as much as possible to do that. When you see the number of vehicles moving on the highway, what is the percentage of those people?
Sometimes you even see animals, domestic animals, goats, everything tied at the boots.
Yes.
Some
even standing
sheds,
on top of the vehicle. On top of the vehicle,
yes.
It happens. So, what I'm saying is that if only you have control over all the drivers in a particular point, you can have 100% control.
You want the NURTW to have control.
What I'm saying is this:
I just want us to
we cannot control motor park that is not under
the NURT.
We cannot do that. We can only control those people who registered with NURTW.
So what would you like? What would you like to see done to those who are not your members and who are bringing the name of your union to disrepute now?
You see, there are these organizations, road transport organizations, are registered organizations. NURTW is an act of the federal government.
Okay.
Each and every person working under any road transport organization, if he is a driver, he should belong to NURTW.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you find that some organizations will go and register with these organizations that are registered company, corporate affairs, and they open their own union, and it doesn't make sense. So that is why you find that it's very difficult for us to have a grip of all the drivers. It's not possible. So we are only trying on those who agree to be members of NURTW. But it's not by force.
What about, I think it's Road Transport Employees Association. What's the relationship? How do you coordinate your activities?
Okay, Road Transport Employees Association are under Part B in the registration. They are senior staff. They are not supposed to be
under NURTW.
No, they are not NURTW. They are employers. Well, let me say it this way. We are the drivers. We are employed by certain people. Those people that are employers are the members of Road Transport
written
Employees Association.
Okay.
That is how it is.
Okay.
So we don't have control over them. But we're supposed to have control over the drivers. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen this way. There are certain issues that need to be trashed to have it done in the right way. Every driver should be under control of an organization that is recognized by the government. Any other thing apart from that, you are bound to have issues because you don't have control. So
wonderful.
This is
wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Let me get back to Dr. Bas Idris. And given the situation that we are in, the Yuletide, how quickly would you say emergency agencies can respond when there are multiple incidents happening at the same time? There's probably a fire somewhere, there's an accident somewhere. Do we have the capacity to respond as required?
No, we don't. To be honest with you, we don't. And this has to do with our preparedness. Emergency management is not a day affair. You have to start all over. You have to start early. You have to prepare yourself. Ensure that you plan ahead. And what we are getting, even when what you are hearing now from the NURTW, who is responsible for ensuring all the drivers are under them. They could not be able to coordinate and have all the drivers under them. Some people are getting out to go and register. I think we need to really, if we have a law, we must enforce the law. If NURT is responsible for all drivers that are driving commercial vehicles in Nigeria, they must own up and ensure that they have the driver so that they can be able to certify them. And that will reduce the number of accidents that we are having on the roads. And then that will also reduce the response time that we are expected to have. If you look at it, if you are going from Abuja to Kano, how many centers, response centers and responders are you going to get on the road? If there is any crash, you hardly get people that are going to respond on time. So, and who are the responders on the road crash? The lead agency is the Federal Road Safety Corps. They are the lead agency. And then others will follow. If there should be firemen, there should be NEMA, there should be other Nigerian Red Cross Society and other stakeholders who will form the team. But once you see a crash on the road, before you could get some responders to come, the devastation has gone so much. And that is the reason why some people passerby will stop, and in the effort of given their humanitarian support, at the end of the day, they also made they will complicate all the issues, because an accident victim might not be totally disabled, but as a result of the support they are getting from the road users who are not trained to really give that kind of support. One will hold the other leg, the other will hold the other leg. So you see that at the end of the day, the passenger is having a spine problem. So, but if it is the normal trained responders, they will know how to package a victim and then take him to hospital immediately and giving him first aid with the ambulance. They will take him. There should be a nurse who will be taking care of such victim before they get to the hospital. And at the end of the day, he will not have any spine problem. So we have a lot of issues. We don't have response points along our roads.
I think we're beginning to have an issue with the connection to Dr. Abbas Idris. But since he's unable to complete his comments, I'd like to come back to you quickly. How important is it for Nigerians to be trained, at least have basic knowledge of rescue operations, such that, because we don't have the numbers to deploy trained rescue operators to everywhere there is an emergency. And so it is the people around the place that will be the first responders. How important is it, and how can we get Nigerians enlightened on how to handle situations of emergency?
Yes, emergencies are very important, and we know in the FRSC we take this very seriously. And that is why we have our ambulance points, even along this Abuja, Kaduna, up to Kano. We have, I know we have more than 10 ambulance points spread along this express. And within Abuja here, I think we have up to 13 separate locations. And all of them have ambulances.
And they function?
Yes, and they function. They run 24/7. Even this morning, around 5 a.m., Oyemi Ajayi called me that one man was found just around NTA here, area 11. And I called Zebra 2. Zebra 2 was just on our way coming here. before he called me back that a family member has been able to identify the person and they have carried him away. And incidentally, it wasn't even a motor crash. It's like he was drunk, that they poured water on him. And
just to say that Oyemi Ajayi is our correspondent and he's a special marshal. That's the person that called you.
Yes, he called me, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, so, and apart from that, there's what we call National Emergency Post-Crash Care Initiative of the FRSC. We have identified locations that we call black spots, places where a lot of crashes normally occur. So we engage the community and we train them. We normally have youths that will volunteer and we train them for emergency so that if emergencies occur around those areas, they should be able to respond and provide some level of professional care before paramedics or any emergency people will arrive at those locations.
Thank you. I'd like to bring in CSP Benjamin Hundeyin. I know you didn't want to divulge, the flashpoint areas, but within the Federal Capital City, okay, let's say even within Abuja, there are areas, that are very, very risky. And I'd like to mention, especially the parts, by the Central Mosque area. You find the part by the CBN area. Am I right? The Good Luck Jonathan, the bridge. Those are very dark, even right in front of the NTA. What are you doing? People travel and leave their homes. Sometimes when they get back, they discover that their homes have been burgled. What are your safety tips for them?
Thank you very much. There is something we say often and often, that security is everyone's business. It's a collective responsibility. Yes, that's a fact. It's a fact that everywhere in the world, people support the police and security agencies with information. So it holds true here too, that you see suspicious movement around you, be quick to inform the police. People tend to say it's none of my business until it affects them. So when you see suspicious movements around you, quickly inform the nearest security agency. Then we also need, as a people, to also help ourselves. There is nothing wrong in having these alarms in our homes that can go off if somebody tries to burgle your home. There is nothing wrong in having cameras in our homes to help the police. In fact, it shouldn't even help the police in the investigation. It can deter criminals once they know that, there are CCTVs here. So in Lagos, when I was in Lagos, in fact, the government installed cameras everywhere on the roads. I'm not saying all were working because we had to check, but to a large extent, especially on Third Mainland Bridge now, those ones are new.
Absolutely.
So they are working. So people are careful. So as a people, we need to do some of these things. Sometimes when we want to carry out investigations, because there are no government-installed cameras in places, we have to go knocking on people's doors. For those that have cameras covering the streets, please, can you give us footage? Let's see what really happened. So I'm just saying that while the police will continuously patrol, we as a people too need to help ourselves. If we can have cameras, yes. If we can have alarms, yes. Then for the flashpoints you mentioned, the dangerous areas.
Yes.
Yes. As a police force, what we will do, or what we have been doing and what we continue to do, is to patrol. You see, when you have limited resources, sometimes you can't afford the luxury of stationing one vehicle at one place permanently, because there are other places where that resource is needed. In fact, you might be there when you will be called, and what we do, just like the sector commander said, that Zebra 2 should proceed there. So for us to, you might position a patrol vehicle somewhere, and help is needed a kilometer away. You would have to call that patrol vehicle to go there. So my point is, we don't have that luxury of having permanent vehicles everywhere. So we would have to do what's best, patrol. And sometimes these criminal acts happen within that gap, when the patrol vehicle just passed, and they know that, it just passed. It will take another 5-10 minutes before it comes.
Oh my God!
So, but we make the best use, and we make the best deployment of the resources we have. But by and large,
for notorious areas, such as I have mentioned, wouldn't it also be advisable to have a little less mobile, strategy to monitor that area?
Yes, just like I said before you asked this question, that we'll make the best deployment of what we have. So while we have more patrols in certain areas, we will have more static officers in other areas. And like your special marshal did,
Oyeyemi Ajayi,
Oyeyemi Ajayi, to call the sector commander, we also encourage people to make calls. Sometimes we drive and we see one or two men in a dark area and something tells us that they are not up to any good. Yeah, we should also reach out to call and say, oh, I saw something suspicious, so that, the nearest patrol vehicle
So
could
if you
just go
see
check it
something,
out.
say something.
Exactly. If
All
you
right.
see something, say
I will
something.
also ask, even though you will respond after our break, if you would prescribe as police that landlords be compelled to install cameras in their homes, because that's the only way. If it's commercial, if it's personal, install cameras, and then we can have. But you respond after the break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, you're welcome back. We've been discussing, of course, preparations for Christmas across, all areas of it. And just before we went on that break, CSP Benjamin Hude was about to respond to, if he would prescribe, or if the police would prescribe mandating landlords, whether they are commercial homes, residential, personal, to install cameras as part of safety measures.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. It is very advisable. And for now, I think it is compulsory for now for cameras to be installed in hospitality buildings like hotels. I think it's even compulsory for banks too. But those are the places. Those are places where they have been made compulsory. So yes, it's advisable that we also, as a people, our representatives in the House of Assembly, should also enact a law making it compulsory for every house, every building to have CCTV cameras. Once we have this, trust me, crime will reduce drastically immediately, because from past experiences, when people, in fact, if you see the footages of some robbers or attackers, once they get to a house, the first thing they are looking for is there a camera? So that shows that it is important. And where there is a camera, sometimes you see them reaching for it, trying to disable it. But good enough, in some cases, those are just like false cameras. So you disable it. There is another secret camera that actually, takes everything, your face and everything, and it helps to apprehend criminals. So yes, I would say that if it's possible, then it will be a good deal for us.
I don't know. We need to take some messages. Okay, we have a couple. When I come back, I will ask, because I know, Victor, there was a time when night travels, was banned. I don't know if that ban, has been lifted, if it's still in force, and then what are we doing? Because a lot of people still do night travel. Yes, they do good night Abuja, good morning Lagos. They still do it. Yes. So let's quickly take the.
All right, I have two here, and this one reads, "Good morning, officers. Please, a lot of road users don't observe traffic signs. Motorcyclists, tricyclists, they don't obey road regulations like fast lane or speed lane and service lane. Commercial drivers, always indecent parking. Please print pamphlets of road signs and code signs and list fines to be paid against each." I think this one is addressing the FRSC particularly. And there's another. "Please, here is my contribution. I appreciate you all. My question goes to FCT FRSC Sector Commander. Why do some saloon car owners overload their vehicles with passengers and still go through the highway? What is the FRSC doing to those drivers?" I think both for you.
In fact, let me quickly just add to the signs.
Yeah.
It's so appalling when you get to a zebra crossing, and then you see the pedestrian waiting. In fact, that's when the drivers speed up. I mean, is it that we don't know what zebra crossing means? Here in the FCT, it's appalling. And sometimes you find the FRSC or even the police by the side doing nothing.
Perhaps they are waiting for a zebra.
Doing nothing.
An actual zebra.
So it's. I think when you are responding to that question, please also enlighten us about the zebra crossing. Good morning. Please, about overloading, as mentioned. What is the police and FRSC doing as law enforcement agencies? This is from Dauda from Bauchi. And the other message I have. Good morning, Nigeria. I have what I call family Christmas education. Listen. Family Christmas Education, FCE. So, 1, educate them on travel education, fire prevention education, security education, social life education, danger of gifts education, and God-fearing education. So, all of this, each one, he takes one by one and educates his family. So he is prescribing family Christmas education or family Salah education, whichever case may apply. FSE or FCE. This is from Peace Ambassador Caleb Gendry from Plateau. Thank you.
So, you like to respond?
Okay, yes. Let me very quickly, especially as regards red lights and zebra crossing. Within the FCT, these are very important because our roads are well paved and we have a lot of speeding vehicles. And ordinarily, nobody is expected to beat red lights or to cross even up to the zebra lines where pedestrians are expected to use when you already have red on this side and it's green for the pedestrian to use the zebra crossing to pass. We have a lot of instances where people just speed across and do anything. And I know within the month of September alone, we apprehended over 2,800 within just the city of Abuja, those that beat red light. And they've paid the prescribed fines, and we continue to also educate on this aspect, most especially for taxi drivers. Taxi drivers, they are always in a hurry, they're always not ready to listen and all that. And a lot of even private car owners too, they are also guilty of this same thing. But fortunately, the law doesn't spare anyone, and we've been doing as much as we should do. And apart from this, we are talking about overloading too. I know personally I led operations within the FCT to curtail the issue of overloading, especially taxi drivers that are carrying 2 or 3 in front. So, but a lot of times too, we get stranded in a way, especially in the evening when it is at the peak period. You go to virtually all the junctions within the city. You discover that commuters are literally stranded because it's like there are no enough vehicles at that particular period. So to the extent that passengers are willing to just enter anywhere, so long as they are ready, they can go somewhere. And even when you try to talk to the passenger at that material time, nobody is ready to listen. Because I know I had instances where I forced drivers to drop their excess passengers and even return their money to them. But you even have instances where the passenger will even be the ones to resist. Or you have instances where you are mounting a particular point here, where you are enforcing the rule against overloading. You discover that passengers will willingly drop from the vehicle, trek far distance and go and wait for the same vehicle and join and go. Even on the highway, you see the same thing. Yesterday I was in Zuba. Immediately I discovered that a lot of people, pedestrians were literally passing. I said, where are these people coming from? It was then they told me that, Oga, they are dropping their passengers behind. And the passengers have agreed to be trekking ahead to go and wait for the same vehicle and enter and move. So unless you have the cooperation of the passengers themselves, no matter what you do to the drivers, a lot of times you'll not be able to succeed. So I think that is what is happening. But apart from that, as far as enforcement is concerned, I know in the last 3 months, we have consistently staged mobile courts. And for this period, I know we have had more than 67 mobile courts with over 4,000 arrests, especially for those that are driving against traffic on Airport Road, in Nyayamaraba, AYA, and Kuba Express. And all these, some have even been sentenced to perform community services, some in Mambila Barrack, some in Abuja Barrack, and so many other places, with a view to seeing that those that have been apprehended have actually been punished. so that it will serve as a deterrent for future, for those
One
who
of
want
those who come prepared, drivers who come prepared to have a handshake with FRSC officials, security agencies, they come, you see them making a lot of change, and when they come, they make a change. It doesn't matter, their sins are forgiven. It doesn't matter the overloading. It doesn't matter whatever is in the vehicle. Nothing else matters, just that handshake.
Well, I think that is also very important to us because this is an area the FRSC doesn't take very lightly. And I know that just in the currently, I know I have 3 that I have recalled. One from Zuba. He collected money he collected 3,000 naira, and it was discovered on him. Because in FRSC, anybody that's gone on patrol is expected to declare the amount on him. And the only amount you're expected to declare is 2,000. 2,000 naira, that is the amount you're expected to declare. And you're supposed to declare with the number of the currency on the declaration book before you go out. So once you get there, and I know personally I've done that. I went to Abuja last week. On the way coming back, I stopped at Giri. I searched my patrol team, and I was able to discovered one of them who was holding the money ran behind the vehicle and dropped it because there was no way he could go anywhere. And when there, I was able to pick. But before picking, I called the other team members. I said, come, snap this thing, because the law says if money is found on you or within the patrol area, it's believed to belong to you. So, and we discovered 3,500. If nobody owns it, the entire team owns it. So those are the things we are doing, and nobody will get away with it. We must be able to get to the root of this, and whoever that is found wanting will face the law.
Wonderful. I'll just loop 2 questions into one. The other one I asked was if the ban, on night journey was still in force. I don't know FRSC or the police. I don't know who will answer. Maybe CSP.
Yeah. So for us, we uphold people's fundamental human rights. So there's freedom of movement. So people are free to move.
There is no law.
The law that I know is freedom of movement. So there could be arrangements, but not a law. There could be arrangements, about movements on roads. For example, I know in some parts of the country, tankers can't move in certain parts during certain time of the day, and tankers can't even pass certain roads. Those are not exactly laws, but arrangements made for easy movement of traffic. But for us, we recognize people's right to freedom of movement, and we enforce it. So if people decide to move at night, fine, but we discourage it. We strongly discourage it. It's better, you drive better when there is 100% visibility.
Because there's no
lights. Yes.
I don't know. Is that so? Night journey was banned at the time.
Well, I don't think there was actually a law that specifically banning night travel. If you look at it globally, most countries of the world operate 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, and with 24 hours, you have higher GDP and so many things. And even here, I don't think it's something that can be contemplated in the near future, because we're also going global. But advisory, we advise people that because of the risks that are out there in the night, a lot of times when you have issues, you might not be able to get as quick response as you should. When your vehicle breaks down, and the likelihood of you also being robbed, and so many other factors that are out there. So our advice to members of the police is always that we discourage night travel because of these risk factors.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, let's get back to Dr. Bas Idris. I hope we still have him. Okay, let me get to Alhaji Tatimu. You have your issues with regards to unions in the road transport sector and all of those. But how are you then able to manage passenger safety in all of this? How much of a problem is it that you are not able to find cohesion amongst yourself as leaders or unions?
Thank you very much. This program used to have a program called Point Blank. I think it did NTO, right?
Yeah.
The gentleman here made it very, very clear that they can operate within their means. When you have the wherewithal, then you take a larger chunk of your operation into consideration. But a situation whereby you are restricted to a certain point, you have no choice. What I'm trying to point out is this. Our own operation is restricted within the motor parks, designated motor parks. Whatever program we have, it has to be restricted there. These are the drivers we normally, prior to this period, we have classrooms, I told you the other time, where we address these people. Because there's nothing like education. Education, education, education. We try as much as possible to educate these drivers that are under us. But mind you, a situation whereby you train your children, unfortunately they will go out and meet other children that are not of the same character.
Okay,
If
in
care
30
is-
seconds,
Yeah.
yes. If passengers notice unsafe driving, what should they do immediately?
Well, the first thing they do is just to ask the driver to park and maybe ask him to call back and get another driver. Because immediately you started the journey, you realize that the driver is not the right person for you. For one reason or the other, you have to report back. But the issue is that the passenger are always compromising.
Let's
They don't-
assume that they find that a driver is not fit for purpose. You took off in Abuja and you find that the driver is not fit for purpose, maybe somewhere in Lokoja, you call for another driver.
Well, instead of you to get yourself involved in an accident, you better do something. Ask him to park. Ask him to park. Because when you ask him to park, or even if he refuses to park, there is a place, as I told you, that the restaurant I talked to you about. When you get there, you tell him that you are no longer embarking the journey with him. Very simple. But people don't do that. In fact, it is most of the passengers that are making the issue worse.
Okay,
Sincerely
quickly,
speaking.
CSP, are there warning signs or signals that those who are traveling at this period should not ignore, in fact, should never ignore?
Well, if you are traveling in your vehicle, make sure they are in good condition, just like Sector Commander advised. They should be very roadworthy. But also, I tell people to have situational awareness. As you move, be aware of your surroundings. So just one example, somebody is driving and notices that on the other side of the road, oncoming traffic, there's been no traffic for over 5 minutes. Yes, you should be conscious of that. Like, I've not seen any vehicle coming. Something must be happening there. That's when to park and check what's happening instead of running into an ambush. So situational awareness, just be aware of all your surroundings. It could be a vehicle, it could be a fellow passenger, it could be the road, it could be anything. Once you are situationally aware, it helps you to take the right decisions.
All right, let's quickly get to Dr. Abbas Idris. Perhaps we'll have 1 minute to go with Dr. Abbas Idris. Now, this is Christmas, and we also will have Salah, we'll have other festivities. What simple way should Nigerians be able to ensure safety on all fronts? Just in one word, if possible. You may have to unmute. You may have to unmute Dr. Abbas Idris. Unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry. I said all the safety structures are in the studio, and all we need to do is to emphasize the safety of lives and property. And this should not be, like I said earlier, should not be at the ember months alone. We have to start from January to December and ensure that we instill and enforce all the rules that's supposed to be enforced, and ensure that we have the best we can get in terms of safety. And if we cannot do that, we will continue to have multiple number of people dying on our roads. And especially the road safety code, I look at the laws and their distinct. The penalties enshrined by the road safety code are not really very good penalties, punitive. I had the sector commander talking about those who are beating traffic in the city. The best you can charge them after arresting them is 2,000 naira. And what does 2,000 naira go to do? He can still do it again tomorrow. The highest they can charge somebody for reckless driving is 50,000. So, and most of the drivers are having the accident we're having as a result of reckless driving, coupled with the bad roads that we have. So we need to really improve on our laws and then the enforcement of the laws also.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Abbas Idris. Let me quietly take 30 seconds with you. What singular safety rule do you think would you like to give to Nigerians as they make their trips this season?
As they embark on this trip, I know even this morning a lot of people are out there trying to meet up with the Christmas. My call to everyone is, number one, you must drive in such a manner that you don't compromise your safety. You don't overtake when you know it is not safe to overtake. You don't speed. You don't use phone while driving. And if you are tired, please take a place, look for the nearest place and take a rest. Especially a place where you know it's safe for you to actually take that rest.
All right. Felix Thayman, FCT Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Corps. Thank you very much for your time.
For having me. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Let me also thank Benjamin Hundeyi, CSP Benjamin Hundeyi, Force PRO. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me today.
We hope we'll see you many more times to come. Let me also thank Alhaji Sanusi Tatimu, Senior Special Advisor, Organization and Union Development at the NURTW headquarters here in Abuja. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
And finally, but by no means the least, Dr. Abbas Idris, President, Risk Managers Society of Nigeria, and former DG, FCT Emergency Management Agency, who joined us via Zoom from Kaduna. It's been a pleasure having you join us yet again. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I wish everybody a safe and happy celebration.
All right, thank you.
All
and
right,
that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow is another day. It's Christmas. Let's keep the date. I'm Victor. So bye for now.
I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak. I'll see you tomorrow.